Hello and good morning to you all. I wish I could be with you live today, but I am happy to share some of the story about Mesa, Arizona and how we created momentum and results by working regionally to address homelessness. The way we talk about this in Mesa is not just that homelessness is an issue in the community, it is the issue in the community. Mesa is a compassionate community. I'm very proud to call it my home. That said, and I'm sure you can relate, people don't necessarily agree on how this challenge should be addressed. There's no one solution for this very complex problem. And in times like today, there are more people experiencing homelessness than ever before. So we have a big job. But today I want to talk to you about an initiative that started about 5 years ago after I went on a trip to our nation's capital. It was during that trip that I learned about a national program called the Mayor's Challenge to End Veterans Homelessness. And it was obvious to me that this would be a good fit for my community. We started here in Mesa and quickly realized a regional, data-driven approach is what was needed. Homelessness doesn't have geographic borders. This has to be a regional effort in order to make the biggest impact. I'm here today to share with you some of this story, and I hope that it helps you in the greater Denver area. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Maricopa County and Mesa, let me give you just a quick context of what our region looks like and a little bit about Mesa, Arizona. Maricopa County is the fourth most populous county in the United States. It's over 9,000 square miles with 27 cities and towns. Maricopa County accounts for about 62% of the total population of Arizona. We see approximately 220 people moving into the county every single day. Mesa, my hometown, is the second largest city in the county and the third largest in the state of Arizona, also the 35th largest city in the United States. We're 139 square miles with more than 500,000 residents, and we're one of the fastest growing communities in the nation. We have beautiful weather 2/3 of the year. This is one of the reasons why we're seeing more and more homeless activity in our region. This was always the case, but we see a continuation of that trend as we move towards a post-COVID time period. When it comes to serving our homeless population, both Maricopa County and Mesa started this work with a focus on veterans, although services have expanded to the entire unsheltered population. Let's get into the programs and how our work has evolved. It doesn't happen overnight. Collaboration takes commitment from the top to the bottom levels, and it takes persistence of staff in the field. So here's a little bit about our journey in Mesa. The first is the 100,000 Homes campaign. This is a national campaign that we began to work with back in 2013. The campaign helped Mesa secure and use VASH vouchers. VASH, I'm sure many of you know, stands for Veterans Affairs Support Housing Vouchers. This was a great work and continues today, but it started as a Mesa-based focus only. In 2015, Mesa and the other mayors in our region participated in the Mayor's Challenge to End Veterans Homelessness, which I mentioned earlier. Through the Mayor's Challenge, mayors and other state and local leaders across the county were charged with marshaling federal, local, and nonprofit efforts to end veterans homelessness in our own communities. The end goal being to reach the point where there are no veterans sleeping on our streets and every veteran has access to permanent housing. The efforts of this program ensured that local jurisdictions were doing our part in the regional work already underway. We brought that program back to Mesa as Housing Our Heroes. We've continued to work to ensure that if a veteran becomes homeless, our community will have the capacity to quickly connect them to the help they need and to achieve housing sustainability. Now here's where the power of a regional approach started to take hold. Later in 2015, the region adopted the Built for Zero model. Built for Zero helps us target priority needs via a single by-name list. By-name lists are very important. I have to recognize Maricopa County and the City of Phoenix for their efforts to build a regional list that we could all share and use together. For years, we were very limited in how much we knew about our homeless population, and this is true for our neighboring cities also. Some limitations were related to reasonable privacy for those experiencing homelessness. We also found ourselves dependent on the annual point-in-time count to gauge the number of unsheltered homelessness. While the point-in-time exercise facilitated at the county level is helpful, it could never successfully capture everything. That said, we use this data and information from the Homeless Management Information System to get a general idea of our homeless population and their geographic locations. Built for Zero is meant to provide next-level data to help us accomplish several things. First, it helps us to better understand community needs and priorities overall. Second, it helps us better understand what is working and how we might need to change or adjust course to better serve. Third, it helps us learn where we need more resources and how best to put those to work. And finally, from my perspective, it helps those of us in leadership roles employ that data to identify ways to help and to inform our directions. Mesa has been humble about our work to support those experiencing homelessness, but we've always had facilities and dedicated funding to support nonprofits serving this population. It's a collaborative effort, both regionally and locally. This next slide is an overview of our region's story and progress. What you're looking at is the number of veterans in Maricopa County who were experiencing homelessness that have been identified, housed, and served in other ways since the year 2017. To date, we've achieved an overall reduction in veterans' homelessness of 15%. It isn't as much as we'd like to see, of course, but we're getting there. Over the last few years, we've identified about 90 new homeless veterans each month, and we're housing about 100. This data demonstrates the slow, constant reduction over time. As a team, we continue to closely analyze this data. We look at this data and what we've learned and ask ourselves again, how can we be more effective in helping this population as a region? And for me, again, as mayor, how can I prioritize my efforts and what can I do to help? Now let's look at the intake of veterans in our region as another example. In this slide, you're seeing the intake of veterans experiencing homelessness being identified and referred into our system from 2017 to January of this year. That's the new inflow graph. And the chart on the lower half of the screen is showing how many veterans are returning to homelessness. This is called returned from housed. This is a subset of the data of the inflow chart shown above. Let me share with you some high-level observations by the Built for Zero team. This data has offered us key insights on the impacts of the pandemic. We can see that the eviction moratorium is keeping people in housing as desired. And if we're keeping more of our veterans housed, we see fewer numbers returning to homelessness. This next slide looks at how many veterans we've housed over time. The box shows pre-pandemic and the start of the pandemic. The chart shows that in January of 2021, we housed 54 vets in our region. So we ask ourselves, does this decrease mean we have fewer veterans experiencing homelessness? Is it possible that the emergency interventions by cities and towns have actually helped? But that's not the entire picture. We know we have a limited supply of housing and a limited number of landlords who accept VASH or other vouchers. When those units are staying filled, again partly due to the eviction moratorium, the region doesn't have anywhere to house those who are new to experiencing homelessness. In essence, as a region, we appear to use the existing units cyclically, and they're limited. What we need to do is add more units to our supply. This takes the cooperation of landlords. So again, as mayor, this presents the question of what can I do to help? Together with our City of Mesa staff, we're looking to help grow the number of landlords in Mesa accepting VASH and other voucher programs. As a region, we've learned a lot during COVID. In Mesa, we found that we had a gap in our path to recovery. The first step used to be a shelter. Shelters, for good reasons, have rules and requirements. For some, this creates too high of a barrier to getting on the road to recovery. So we created the Off the Streets program to provide immediate health and safety. It's a pre-shelter experience. The only requirement is that the participants make a commitment to recovery and that they use the time to get started down that path, to be ready to enter a more structured shelter program. I support the continuation of this program as we move out of COVID, and we are hoping to continue it in the long term. These are some of the high-level observations that we're gathering from the data in our region. We'll be looking for opportunities to work with the Built for Zero team to track and further analyze our data. As a result, Mesa is more dedicated than ever to staffing programs and resources to address homelessness. Through lessons learned from partners in the region and the data we've been able to gather, our policies and strategies are evolving and proving to be effective. I look forward to continuing to support this important work, and I invite you to reach out to Mesa if you have questions or as you're considering best next steps for your communities. If we can help you find success and better serve those experiencing homelessness, we would be very happy to do so. Thanks again for the opportunity to share our experience in Mesa.